Hello everyone, I'm Mia. I'm a person who loves ghost stories, and I've watched a lot of horror ghost movies, but I didn't think this video would make me so scared, and here are real ghost stories. In a small village nestled by the mountains, there was a lake that the locals called the Drowning Lake. The name came from many mysterious and eerie stories surrounding the lake. Many years ago, there was a young girl named Lynn. Lynn was very beautiful and admired by many young men in the village. One day, Lynn was heartbroken when her lover betrayed her. In her despair, she went to the lake. Lynn decided to end her life by jumping into the water. Strangely, her body was never found. Since then, people have said that Lynn's ghost still haunts the lake. Every night, if anyone passes by the lake at midnight, they might hear her sorrowful cries. Some have even seen the figure of a girl with long hair silently standing on the water's surface. Curious people often visited the lake at night to verify the story. However, none of them returned safely. Some claimed they felt a strong force pulling them into the water when they got close to the lake. People believed it was Lynn's ghost trying to drag others down to take her place. One stormy night, a group of young men from the village decided to go to the lake to prove that the stories were baseless rumors. They brought flashlights and ventured into the forest where the lake was deep within. As they neared the lake, the wind started to blow fiercely, and a faint laughter echoed from afar. Suddenly, a strong gust of wind swept through, and one of the young men felt a cold hand gripping his leg. He panicked and tried to run, but the force was too strong, pulling him into the water. The others tried to pull him back, but it seemed as though an invisible force was holding him underwater. Eventually, he was dragged down and disappeared into the dark water. The next morning, the villagers found the group of young men unconscious on the shore. They recounted that they had seen Lynn's ghost, and she had pulled their friend into the water. No one dared to go near the lake after that. The Drowning Lake became an abandoned place, with only the wind and the sound of insects filling the air. But every night, people still believed that if they listened carefully, they could hear Lynn's cries echoing from the cold, dark waters. Let's write your comments below, and let's keep the conversation going. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more informative videos. Thank you for watching. See you soon in our next video. Goodbye.
The Carpenter turned real horror. Everything happened not long after my family moved to a new house in 2003. It was a very beautiful villa built in the 1950s. One day, while I was in the backyard watering the plants, I suddenly saw something and stopped. A man stood in the bushes near the wall in my backyard. He was dressed like a carpenter, his head tilted to the side, and his body slightly turned towards our fence. He looked at me and smiled friendly. At first, I thought he was repairing someone's house and was a carpenter in the city. However, it was only after he faced me that I realized that wasn't the case. When I squinted and looked closely, I saw that his neck was clearly broken, causing his head to turn to one side. Then he waved at me, but I was so shocked that I closed my eyes tightly and couldn't scream. When I regained my composure and opened my eyes, he was gone. 2 nights later, I woke up at 3 a.m. to a noise coming from my ceiling that sounded like someone wearing boots walking slowly on the roof. I started to worry because I thought it was a thief, but I suddenly realized that my roof was too thin for a human body to walk on it. After a while, the footsteps suddenly stopped. Just as I breathed a sigh of relief, another terrible sound rang out, a shrill scream from a man, followed by a loud thud as if someone had fallen from the ceiling. I took the blanket to cover my head, and my hands and whole body were shaking. After about 10 minutes of not hearing any sound, I dared to peek out. The surrounding area was completely quiet. I didn't see or hear anything else, but I couldn't sleep for the rest of the night. The next morning, I started looking up the history of this house and was surprised to come across a news report about the carpenter I met a few days ago in the backyard. In 1958, he was hired to repair the roof while the homeowner was on vacation. Suddenly, while working, the carpenter stepped on a rotten part of the roof and fell. He broke his neck and couldn't scream for help, so no one knew what happened to him was once a simple black cat named Midnight.